Hi, welcome to FilmSauce. I'm FilmSauce, and in this Saucy video, I am looking at Friday the 13th, Part 3, directed by Steve Miner, who returned to direct the second sequel in this franchise, making him the only person to direct multiple Friday entries. Writing for the sequel, we have Martin Kittrosser and Carol Watson, who have both worked on Meatballs Part 2 together. Oh, and one big change for this little sequel is that it is in 3D, making all the scenes look like everything is popping out, or looks like this. Or this, if you prefer. In this first attempted ending of the franchise, Jason has returned as now hunting a group of friends at this cabin. Yeah, it's basically the synopsis. Real deep shit. Anyway, put on your hockey masks, do a handstand, and relax to FilmSauce Friday the 13th, Part 3. So the film starts off and, wow, I can't believe Jason started his own business. He's so grown up. We fade into the actual movie where we watch Ginny running through the forest and come across Jason's shack, which he barricades off and, wait a minute, I've already done this movie before. Damn movie's trying to get multiple FilmSauce videos. The movie opens with a recap of the previous film. Wouldn't actually call it a recap really, since it's just the whole climax of part 2, but with the added footage of Pamela's head going all 3D and shit. With this funky little title card that leads to an even funkier title sequence. And once that is over, we are out of the dark and spooky atmosphere of Friday the 13th Part 2, into the bright 3D world of Friday Part 3. And trust me, even though you are watching this on a flat screen, this film, make sure you never forget, has a 3D gimmick, which wasn't popular among the crew and the actors, where it mattered more if you could put a yo-yo in front of the lens instead of acting. And yeah, while the film was designed as 3D and the cinema showings were in 3D, the original home video release was just boring old duty. Only later, with the creation of the deluxe Blu-ray edition, you could watch this film in 3D, along with a pair of cool 3D glasses that look like the hockey mask. Anyway, it shouldn't take that long to get 3D. Okay, now I think it's time for me to actually get into the movie, where we see this couple, Harold and Edna, who we all know are just here to die and bear witness to the 3D effects. Oh damn, look at that snake. Harold kind of just wanders around, letting his greed consume him. Like, damn, kind of surprised he isn't gobbling that rabbit up. You know, Jason is a devout Christian, and he says no to the 7 deadly sins. And he brutally murders Harold, so may he burn in hell with Beelzebub. And now, Jason remembers he can't leave no leftovers, so he stabs Edna with a knitting needle through the back of her head. What a nice guy. We now meet our actual slabs of meat for this film. We got our final girl, Chris Higgins, played by Dana Kimmel, Andy, played by Jeffrey Rogers, and the pregnant Debbie, played by Tracy Savage, a child actor turned journalist who covered such cases as Heidi Fleiss, and she even had a role in the O.J. Simpson case, where she was even threatened with prison time if she didn't give up her confidential sources. Anyway, that's just about all the characters. And, my God, Andy, watch out. It's the killer. Oh, never mind. It's just Shelley. Classic Shelley. And his pranks. They're so funny. But wait, there's more characters. The cast quickly expands with the introduction of Vera, who is Shelley's date for the weekend. And there's also these two hippies, Chuck and Chili. And the only interesting thing about them is that they got dope. So as long as nothing happens to it, oh, the hunger is consuming Andy. Continuing on the road, they find an old man who must be Crazy Ralph's cousin or something, because he warns them of doom and he shakily shows them an eyeball, which I guess scares the kids away, who now finally get to the big set piece of the film, Higgins Haven, which is just so beautiful. Is the most beautiful set in the whole franchise. Production designer Rob Wilson King played a pivotal role in moving production from the East Coast to the West, where in Velazute Motion Picture Ranch in Santa Clarita, King headed construction of Higgins Haven, the barn, and Crystal Lake. Yeah, that little bit of Crystal Lake you see throughout the film was man-made, and the water for it had to be refilled multiple times since it would dry out. Disappointingly, however, in 2006, a fan actually burned down Higgins Haven, just leaving only the fireplace. There is good news, however, as the cabin is planned to be rebuilt, and none of you better burn it down this time, okay? While a group just chill out, I guess they do that a lot, Chris goes inside where she is jump scared by Rick, who is Chris's sort of boyfriend, and is played by Paul Cracker, who you might know from the hit movie Blood Was Everywhere. And the next few minutes of the film, we just watch people settle in, work around the house, and god damn, Rick, just put a shirt on. I have to blur those. Anyway, screaming now echoes from the house, and thank goodness Jason is here to kill these kids. And hey, it looks like Jason killed off everyone's favourite Shelley. Oh no. Never mind, it's just a prank. Classic Shelley. Now, our classic comedian Shelley is portrayed by Larry Zerner, who funnily enough has found for this film on the street selling tickets for sneak previews of The Road Warrior. Yeah, Larry continued acting until 1987, then he became an entertainment lawyer. And during that dreaded time of the Friday the 13th lawsuit, Larry Zerner would keep us fans up to date and help us understand the lawsuit. So thank you, Larry. You're a beam of light in the Friday community. Now Vera, joined by Shelley, go shopping, where she experiences racism and 3D effects. Gotta watch out for those 3D effects. Oh, yeah, Vera's life ain't getting any better because these bikers are here and threaten these two. But, hey, I'm sure everything will be fine as long as nothing stupid is done. Oh my god, damn it, Shelley. And, hey, it looks like this guy is taking it well. Never mind that. The car gets beaten and Shelley just runs over the bikes again and drives away. We cut back to Debbie and Andy and, hey guys, what's going on? Okay, Andy, that's getting kind of annoying. Stop it. Stop. Stop it. Stop it! After seeing the wreck that is his car, Rick decides he wants to leave and he takes Chris with him. And I'm sure Jason is watching this right now thinking, shucks, I really wanted to pop that guy's head like a pimple. I don't know how, but the biker gang is found where the terrorists are sheltering, and the guy just siphoned the van's gas while this gal Fox goes to the barn. Fox is portrayed by Gloria Charles, who sadly passed away in December 2016, and was immortalised in the Friday the 13th game, as well as Shelley and Chuck. Except, the game's shutting down now, so you can't really play them anymore. Anyway, Fox plays around in the barn because why not? And when this guy Loco, played by Kevin O'Brien, is calling her out, she disappears. And he decides to go check out what happened. And he finds her probably not feeling so good, judging by how she has a pitchfork stabbed in her throat. Yeah. And Loco then also gets stabbed by Jason via pitchfork, leaving only Ali, played by Nick Savage, behind, who goes into the barn and is quickly beaten. Bye, Nick. Back with our not camp canceller characters, they do what they do best. Try to have sex. Debbie and Andy go upstairs to learn the ways of the hammock, while Shelley gets rejected by Vera, and not even the film knows where Chuck and Chili are. Back with Rick and Chris, she decides to tell them why she hasn't returned to Crystal Lake. With a flashback, we see Chris in the forest where she was attacked and potentially sexually assaulted by Jason. Originally, the scene was supposed to lean more heavily on a sexual assault angle, but actress Dana Kimmel got into an argument with Steve Miner about adding this to the film, and the scene was made to be a bit more ambiguous. Vera now is just chilling at the dock, and 1 second into the scene, she is attacked by an arm under the water. Then she's jump scared by Jason. Oh no, Vera, run! Oh, wait, never mind. It's just Shelley. Classic Shelley. Now, for some reason, Vera didn't like this prank, and Shelley just walks away to the barn, leaving Vera alone at the dock, and for some reason, she steals Shelley's wallet, which she drops into the man-made lake. She goes on in to retrieve the wallet when Shelley walks back to the dock. He's changed clothes, seemingly grown to over 6 feet tall, and shoots a harpoon gun at Very. Classic Shelley. Now, for part 3 of this franchise, the filmmakers decided to recast Steve Dash as Jason, opting for Richard Brooker, who, when auditioning for Jason, didn't even know who he was auditioning for. Apparently the casting call was for a guy called Big Man, and it wasn't until after Brooker's tryout he found out it was for Jason. Sadly though, both Steve Dash and Richard Brooker have passed away. Now, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah, this is the first appearance of the iconic hockey mask. It's not really known who came up with the idea of the mask. Producer Frank Mancuso Jr. wanted to move away from the sack from part 2, and the 3D supervisor Martin Sadoff was a hockey fan and had hockey gear on set. The filmmakers decided to do a lighting test with Richard Brooker donning the mask. Makeup effects director Martin Becker and his team created the mask with art director Terry Ballard doing the finishing touches of the red triangles, creating arguably the most iconic slasher look in history. Now we cut back to our horny characters, who I'm sure weren't just plain patty cake. And Debbie now showers while Andy for some reason just does a handstand and walks into Jason, who slaughters him. And once Debbie finishes her shower, she decides to read some Fangoria. And oh no, the poor magazine begins to bleed. Oh, never mind, that's just Andy. Anyway, yeah, Jason's hiding beneath the hammock and stabs Debbie. And I guess Jason got a twofer since she was pregnant? Yeah, do you remember that? It was really important. Now, somehow the only 2 characters left in the Haven are the hippies, who, after doing nothing all movie, can finally die. So the power cuts out, and while Chuck is gone to fix the issue, Shelley appears, back at the Haven, with his throat slit, and he dies in front of Chili. Classic Shelley. Chuck now successfully turns the power back on, but Jason is right there, and so he murders Chuck with the power of lightning, and Chili now finally figures out Shelley's actually dead, so now we can finally get Chili's death with a fire poker. Chris and Rick now finally return to the Haven, finding it as a mess with no one around, and Rick goes outside to find the others. When Chris goes outside to follow him, we see that around the corner, Jason has his hands on Rick, and once Chris retreats indoors, Rick's head is popped like a pimple. Turns out dreams do come true. I love how clearly fake this head is though. It's charming. Chris is officially our final girl, and she continues her investigation of the Haven, finding a bathtub full of what I'm sure is just cranberry juice. But boy, it is pretty boring waiting for the film to start getting loco. With the discovery of Loco's body, Chris finally enters the final girl circuit, as when she returns to the Haven, a big beef boy Rick comes flying through the window, followed by the big man himself, Jason. Chris runs upstairs with Jason in pursuit, but he is halted with the power of knowledge and books. No, just books. Chris upstairs goes and hides in a closet, and hey, she even got a friend in there. And come on, Jason, you should know by now not to leave your weapons lying around. Don't you remember what happened to your mother? Now, Chris equips herself with a knife and goes on the attack, stabbing Jason in the hand and the leg. And then Chris jumps out of this damn window from the second story, but not before Jason ruins her jacket. Guess it wasn't fashionable enough. Jason goes outside to chase this final girl who's decided to surprise attack the slasher. They run to the van, which he drives all the way home. Hooray! Never mind. Jason catches up to the van where he begins to choke Chris, but she uses the power of a window to keep him at bay for a second, which allows her to sprint on over to the barn. Chris goes on and hides, leaving Jason to play Seeker, but Chris cheats in this game of hide-and-seek by dropping onto the Seeker's head. Come on, Chris, didn't you read the Hide-and-Seek for Dummies book? Chris climbs up to the second floor of the barn, where once again she hides. Jason follows her and is promptly hit over the head with a shovel, knocking him out. Chris then ties a rope around Jason's neck and sentences him to death by hanging. And yeah, seemingly works. So now that everything is over, Chris opens the barn door to Jason with the upper body strength of Hercules, as he lifts himself out of the noose, which also lifts his mask up, revealing to Chris it's the same man who might have sexually assaulted her. Now, Jason grabs his machete and is just about ready to murder this final girl, but everyone's favourite hero, Ali, is here to immediately get murdered. Yeah. In a scrapped ending for the film, Ali's character actually survived, and their encounter with Jason and with Chris, he escaped, with paramedics later coming to the scene of the crime, where Jason's body's missing. While Jason is hacking Ali up, this does give Chris time to grab hold of a hatchet and stab it into Jason's head, leaving a scratch that will never depart the character. Now, Jason stumbles towards Chris for a few seconds before succumbing to his wounds. I just realised, is this technically a rape revenge movie? Chris now decides, hey, let's just repeat the ending of the original film by taking a boat into the middle of the lake and sleeping there until morning time. But she ain't safe nor sound, because in the window of Higgins Haven, she sees Jason, who also sees her. Jason then runs out of the haven towards Chris, and he kind of just disappears because this was a dream sequence, and that's the end of it. And yeah, there's also Zombie Pamela, which is just a repeat of the first film ending. Kind of lazy. But there was actually another random alternative ending where we would have seen Jason decapitate Chris the following day. This ending also shows the original design of Jason's face, which was created by Stan Winston, the guy who worked on films such as Terminator, Jurassic Park, Aliens, and so much more. However, the makeup was later replaced by Douglas White's design, which is the one visible in the film. Okay now, the dream sequence is over, and we watch probably a now insane Chris be taken away by the police. And that's the last time we see Chris. So, see ya, Chrissy. While you go to probably a mental institute, I'm going to rate this film at the source point. Okay, now for my rating at the source points. First, I'm going to say what I liked, then what I disliked about this film. Going on to what I liked, obviously Jason looks amazing here with his hockey mask, and Richard Brooker just did an overall good job portraying the character. Chris is an actual competent final girl who gave Jason a mark on his head that will never leave him, so hooray for Chris. The set of Higgins Haven and the barn are just so beautiful, and really, they are probably the best thing in the film for me besides Jason himself. And the bikers, they add something new and interesting to the cast. And the kills, despite some looking ridiculous, are just fun. And as usual, the music in this really kind of carries the suspense. And that disco theme is epic. Now, onto what I dislike about the film. The characters, besides Chris and maybe Shelley, aren't all that interesting to me. They just feel like template slasher movie characters, especially the hippies. And the whole Jason possibly doing a sexual assault on Chris just feels very out of character. But I guess a positive that came out of that was Chris basically killing her assaulter. And before the characters started dying, it didn't really feel like much was happening in the film beforehand. It was mainly just skinny dipping in 3D effects. Anyway, my final verdict for Friday the 13th Part 3 at the source points is a 6.4. Now you guys and gals, you should like and subscribe, so maybe I can see you again sometime. Goodbye.